Kua Jehopa, Shatsayat, honorable tribal leaders, Sewat Yumit, our elders and brothers, Shakuyat, our women relatives, Uha Marstan, our relatives, Sok Enit Yami, dear friends, Tseom go, Ho Anyanyit se, Ho Keshimit Mani Garstioano, Duna, you eat a church, 8 shall new hours go up, Matney. Go, soup and a case, scapa, Pakuscomo, Jit in a dam. Go and now with our suitors at the Duke at Yanni, go not make a queen, not me, niche yet, goodney. Foremost, I give thanks for the answer to the prayers, that we would have this opportunity in this gathering and convention to bring light and focus to discussing something so deeply important to address, to respond to in similar ways that our forefathers did in their time, and how we move forward carrying all that we have been blessed with moving forward. To talk about the responsibility that we collectively have as part of a sacred trust. What I'm going to share, I first want to give honor and credit to the honorable Pueblo governors and tribal leaders here today for their wisdom and guidance in what I will share with you, in how they have developed, reconnected a process to reflect upon the past, to make sense of where we are today, to define what future generations will inherit from us. And I want to begin in the beginning to provide context that for all of us as Indigenous peoples, there was a time of beginning, whether we talk about origin or creation or emergence. It was that time coming into this physical world to begin a journey that continues to this day. It was at that time that our Creator gifted to us all of the essential necessities which to sustain us in our life journey. The gift of Mother Earth upon which to set foot, language that allows us to find purpose and meaning in our existence in this universe, a way of life guided by essential core values, indigenous laws and customs with which to maintain a balanced and healthy set of relationships, not just among human beings, but all living things. The gift of governance, not just among governments, but governance in the maintenance of all of these relationships, the right of all things to exist, and to the gift of family, which receives the spirit for our continuance, and to community that gift, teachers like all of you who gift from one generation to the next those essential core values that guide our lives in our existence. And our resources, symbolic of water, the giver of all life, given to us to sustain us physically and spiritually. But it was foretold that in our life journey, that others would come to challenge the very gifts of our Creator to us. And each generation since time immemorial has faced the challenge driven by their own doctrines to infringe and impose and to diminish the gifts given to us by the Creator for our purpose, for our existence. So I want to provide context about our purpose that the Creator gifted to us, and how in the original instructions we were to contribute to the maintenance and balance of all things, and how when we deviate from the essential core values, the manifestation that the good doctor shared with you creates a vicious cycle of self-destruction when it manifests itself coming from a movement away from our essential core values in the maintenance of these original instructions, our sacred trust to be fulfilled by the way we live, and how prayer is an important part in that daily reminder, the gift of the core values of love and respect and compassion, of listening, of humility, of understanding, of integrity, of dignity. And the way in which our ceremonial calendar is a daily, a weekly, and a monthly affirmation and the validation of these connections. That's where we begin, and where we have traveled to this day here in 2015 is a critical time in our journey, because of all of those impositions and infringements. Generations have overcome these impositions to adapt in their response to these very challenges of a way of life, to define and to gift to the next generation what the Creator gifted to us. So essential questions must be part of a very frank and honest discussion, celebrating the past, understanding that where we are today are deeply rooted in purposefully conceived policies and laws to destroy and to disconnect us. But it's a time of celebrating the resiliency of all those who have gone before, and ask ourselves these questions. What do we want our communities to be in the next 50 years? Understanding that standing here today, we are parents, we are grandparents, we are great-grandparents, and the decisions we make today is already going to affect 100 years moving forward. So the questions today have to do with how are we strengthening our connection to our core values, or how are the decisions we're making driving us further away from our core values? What do we love most about where we come from? And what threatens what we love most about where we come from? What kind of caretakers do we want our children to become? Do we want them to be loving, respectful, and compassionate? And who can answer that question, if not all of us in our respective capacities? When we ask this question of a young student, what will you contribute to the next generation? Her response was, I guess that all depends on you and what you teach me that you learned from your parents, from your grandparents. So an important deliberation at this point in our journey is, how do we intentionally engage the next generation of leaders? How will we instill love and compassion to these young people? Because sociologists will define that it only takes 1 or 2 generations to disconnect. And when we disconnect, it is impossible to reconnect. That in 2 generations, the very discussion we're having today would not even be and will not be in the realm of their consciousness in that ultimate disconnect. So as we think appropriately about the extraordinary challenges on the national front, with all of the unprecedented attacks on sovereignty that our Pueblo elders and leaders define as the right to exist. As all living things, we are related to have a right to exist. But impositions force a redefinition of principles in ways that consume us on one level, to draw us away from asking, are we investing similar energy and investment of time to measure and assess the well-being of people in our communities on whose behalf we are fighting these battles nationally in scope? So we are at a very critical time, and thanks to the Pueblo governors, the elders, cultural leaders, that they have created a process, I should not say created, but they have gone back to a process that has worked for them. Engaging in frank and honest discussions about the things that challenge us internally in our communities, to assess where we are in the maintenance of essential core values guiding our lives, and to the degree that we are fulfilling this sacred trust as all generations and that have gone before, who in their commitment, their unwillingness to compromise, but to adapt and preserve the core values guiding their lives in the fulfillment of this sacred trust of the original instructions, they were never willing to compromise, but adapted to define what we have inherited, that in 2015, we can still have lands we call our homes, that we can engage in the use of our indigenous mother tongue in offering and honoring those who have gone before, to talk about our indigenous laws and customs as still an important part in the maintenance and balance of our people in our communities, the gift of our governance systems, the gift of family, the vibrancy and community and resources that have sustained us physically and spiritually. When we were devastated upon our lands with the 10th largest man-made lakes in this world, disrupting a way of life gifted to us, our elders said, you must come together to engage in defining and articulating a vision of your response to this devastation, to have that frank and honest discussion, because when you use core values as your assessment to weigh the cost and the benefits of any decision, their wisdom underscored that core values, decision made by core values, never lie what is in your best interest. And so it's this connection of core values in the fulfillment of our sacred trust to maintain the original instructions of how to live and how to be in all that we do, that was at the very heart of what otherwise would have devastated and disconnected us from the original gifts of our Creator as we define the need to protect, to be guardians, to be stewards in our response to the challenges. But nothing as important as what you are engaging in this moment today to begin having the frank and honest discussions about how well are we doing internally among our people. To ask ourselves, what is our ultimate purpose in what we do? That we can win the wars and the battles on multiple fronts. But our elders foretold in their wisdom that when we are not mindful of our collective past experiences and we begin to wander away from our core values as gifted to us to maintain that way of life, that it is the beginning of the end for our people as gifted to us by the Creator. When we wander consciously from these core values in ways that diminish and begins destruction from within. That was foretold, that there would be a time when we will become potentially our own worst enemies when we deviate so far. So when we abide and live with our core values, fulfilling the tenets and the covenants as gifted to us by our Creator, we will never perish. We will endure, they said, and we will flourish. And we are at a critical time to assess, celebrating the resiliency of those who have gone before, who have defined all that we have inherited. But to understand in the present, what will we do to gift the next generation of leaders in our communities? And how will future generation reflect upon us, the people of this time? Will they honor us for how we responded to the challenges of today in conscious and intentional ways? Or will they condemn us? Will they condemn us because we failed to give them all that was necessary to pass the incredible gift of our Creator so that future generations would be connected in ways that our forefathers have been resilient in connecting us to where we are today? So hart step me, koe me, trapat ni. Shaak ich tia te ko amos ko ni. Ya ni ko no. Nich tia shan kushus. Ni mata ko kushus. With courage and strength and wisdom, come together in these frank and honest discussions, and we will be blessed collectively to carry forward all of these gifts for future generations to inherit from all of us. Thank you.